how do I trust the church again when my mom was involved with the church for 30 years, and then when she died, they acted like they didn't care. So how do you just deal with church hurt?
Man.
How should somebody respond to that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm sorry if that happened, and if it happened at Christ Community Church in particular. We try and do our very best to care for people at every stage in life, and sometimes we fail at that. So my apologies if that was the case for this person or for her mom. One of the things to realize is that churches are imperfect institutions that are filled with imperfect people. And even though you have good-hearted people who are trying to do their best, there's going to be failures along the way. Sometimes it'll be a failure of church leadership, of people like me who are in positions of influence. Sometimes it'll be a failure of the culture that's created around the church of caring for people. And sometimes it'll be failures of individuals in the church that are failing despite the best efforts of the people who are the leaders of the church. All of those things happen. And I think that's one of the big reasons why Jesus encourages us to be people of forgiveness, because he knew those things were going to happen along the way. And as long as the church is a conglomeration of people who are in process, and just, Alex, I know you know this, but anybody who's been around the church a long time knows that there are some people in the church who are really early in their process, and the things that they look like are not like Jesus at all, but we're trusting that God's redemptive work is going to make them more like Jesus over time. And sometimes those people become the representative to a person who's hurt in the church. And boy, it's a hard one, because you want to assume the best about the person who's on their spiritual journey, and you don't want people to get hurt along the way. That's part of the dance of what we have of growing people up in their faith from a variety of different backgrounds. So extending forgiveness, I think, is critical for all of us, and to lean into Jesus' teaching on that. Giving grace to one another for where they're at on their spiritual journey is a really important piece of the puzzle. And then trying to do our best to love people wherever they're at in the process. I do think that people, when it comes to care in the church, people who are more deeply integrated tend to experience a lot more care. So, for instance, somebody who's in a journey group is going to experience a lot more care both in life and in death than somebody who's just a casual attender on Sunday mornings, just because they know people a lot better and they're involved more. And there are a lot of different definitions of what it means to be connected in a church.
Yeah.
The more intimacy that's there, the more care that takes place.